On today's episode, we discuss the decline of streaming services on consoles. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the SaveState, a channel about all the things you love in nerd culture. I'm your host, Landon Barton, and joined with me is Seth Duncan and Derek Owen. And today I wanted to get together and talk to you guys about the fact that I think we all stream Netflix fairly regularly, but there was a new study out, which I will link in the description below, that Netflix streaming is down on consoles. Netflix streaming was, for a long time, well, it still is. It's going down, but it's still the number one used on consoles. It's number one on PlayStation, actually, PlayStation 3. And so I wanted to ask you guys, where do you normally stream your Netflix from?
My phone to my Chromecast.
Phone to the Chromecast.
That's probably 90% of it.
Yeah.
Mine's either my Xbox One or my Apple TV.
Yeah.
But I find myself lately going more to other streaming services than Netflix lately.
Oh, really?
I think
Like
that
Hulu?
I spend more time on Hulu just because I don't have cable, so I don't want to watch the more current stuff.
Okay.
So that's where I spend
Well,
most
that
of my
kind of
time.
gets me to a question I want to ask you here in a little bit, but I'm with you where I stream on my Apple TV primarily. I do stream through the PlayStation 4 fairly regularly. It's really nice. It's got a nice interface, but the Apple TV is a little bit more accessible. And if I'm in the other room, in my bedroom, I've got the Apple Fire TV, which I will then cast that with my phone to it, because it has the same function as Chromecast does.
If my, I'm going to throw this in real quick, if my Chromecast, because it is a little buggy sometimes, if it starts to piss me off, I'll jump over to the Xbox, because then I can just voice control it. So that'd be my number two.
So it seems like mostly for us, streaming is, we use it a lot, and consoles are kind of our number two option for it. So here's some numbers for you guys, though. 43% of people stream Netflix through their game consoles this year, which is down 5% from last year and 20% from 2011. Oh, wow. So when Netflix kind of first started being an option out there, they struck a deal, and it was on consoles. Primarily PlayStation was a great experience for Netflix, and so, like I said, 43% is still a huge number for the streaming service, but it's down quite a bit from 2011. So it's just slowly going down.
Yeah, I think probably the first thing I think of when I hear that is from 2011. Since then, we've had just an explosion in stream boxes.
Yeah, because it was, like I said, it was primarily the easiest route.
It was like the internet or a game console.
So let's see. Netflix streaming on digital media players is up 28% this year, nearly doubling last year's numbers from 15%. Yeah. And it's roughly 5 times that number since 2011.
Yeah, I think
so. That's just exponentially increasing.
Sure.
A few numbers about the age groups. Ages 13 through 48 are more likely to use Netflix through their game consoles. And the older generations, 35 to 64, are using smart TVs and streaming devices, which I guess makes a lot of sense, because that demographic, especially once you get past the 40 range, they might not have consoles as often as, say, somebody between 13 and 30.
And it's a... I could see them being a demographic that's going to be like, oh, this TV has Netflix in it. Awesome. Buy the TV, and it's just on the remote,
Well, yeah, Netflix is on all type, from Blu-ray players now to, you got just about everything. You just got a myriad of devices, and here's the other thing: is like these devices are ranging anywhere from, you've got the consoles that are $400 plus, and a PlayStation 4 is $400, Xbox One is arguably $400, but also $500, and down to $35 streaming sticks. You've got the Chromecast at $35. I think the Roku stick is somewhere in that range.
35.
So you can get really cheap options, and they're very accessible through your phones. So, and also they just announced another device just 2 days ago.
Yep.
The Nexus player.
Yep.
So now you've got an official Google product.
It's like the first official Google TV thing. That, well, the first one that doesn't suck. Yeah.
So I wanted to say, have we all cut cable? Is cable out for us?
I haven't had cable since I lived with my mom.
Yeah.
7-8 years ago.
Yeah, I haven't had cable in a year and a half. And now that the HBO announced their new service, I will know. It's out of the question for me.
Yeah,
the only thing I'm really missing out on is Walking Dead, and I mooched that off of from my folks.
From your family,
yeah.
See, that's my biggest...
It's the only thing I don't get from
anything on AMC, I really wish I had an option to get something from
Yeah.
AMC because I really want it, but it's so expensive because if I can go to iTunes or through Amazon and I can purchase a season, it's like $40.
Yeah, that's absurd.
You know.
So I don't even watch The Walking Dead right now. But my main
Premiere
reason
was good.
my main reason
I haven't
is
seen
because like I watched the first season of it and loved it, but like I want to watch Walking Dead, but I want to keep my money out of the cable company's pocket more than I want to
I
watch
see what
Walking
you're
Dead.
Well,
So-
I think through 1 through 4 are on Netflix.
Yes.
Season 1 through 4.
Netflix,
yeah, that's
Netflix
right,
has a
that's
deal where
Number 2 you're on the struggle
anytime
to
the
go.
next
Season
season
2
starts, it's immediately on there. Same thing with like Arrow and anything on the CW.
It's a smart decision because it gets people caught up just in time to start watching on cable again. In
Yeah.
theory.
Yep. Oh, I did that with Arrow.
Yeah.
And Arrow's God.
It's just in time to catch up on Hulu.
yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Use one streaming service to get caught up in there.
I will say though, I think part of the decline on consoles are Netflix is just an add-on to consoles. You don't buy a console for Netflix, as you were saying. That's why you buy streaming devices. But also, games are finally starting to come out for consoles.
Right.
So there for a good 4 or 5 months, my Xbox One served as a streaming device. I watched Twitch, Hulu, and Netflix, and that was about it.
Yeah.
Now I have games to play, so my streaming has gone down exponentially since Shadows of Mordor and Destiny came out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's still just millions of PlayStation 3s and Xbox 360s
That's
out
true.
there, though, that people still have those. And so I think, we're seeing, that decline. I think we're seeing that decline less on the fact that games are being released for the next-gen consoles and maybe people aren't streaming as much, as more that it's just much more accessible.
Yeah.
So it does bring me to a question focusing on consoles. With this number going down, like I said, it's still the number one experience for it, but it is going down. What does that mean for consoles and they're developing themselves as all-around media centers? You look at the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, and they're wanting to be your hub. They're wanting to be your one device that does everything in your living room. Do they need to shift their focus back to just games?
Oh, definitely.
Or is this fine?
I think that consoles are too expensive to ever be my home media device. I'm never going to buy a PS4 and Xbox One to run my cable through or for a Netflix or a Hulu player. Like, first of all, until it becomes a DVR, why would I ever consider that as my main media device? And then second of all, I could just go buy Apple TVs are even expensive. I mean, for $35, like you said, I can go buy something that plays Hulu and Netflix. Yeah. Well,
and especially if you have a Chromecast, you can use Google Chrome and you can cast your entire web page.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of options. I tend to agree where I think that I was a little concerned, especially when the Xbox One was originally announced and they were focusing so much on TV and all these other services and never even really mentioned games.
You weren't the only one that was concerned.
Yeah. And so I think, if these numbers are true, hopefully it'll get consoles back to focusing on let's make some good games.
I'm going to make 2 points that are going to counter your point because that's what I do.
Okay. Damn it.
So one, I think that branching out from games is a good move for 2 reasons. Because first off, if let's say I want to buy a PlayStation 4, great, okay, that's fine. But Naomi, my wife, she doesn't care about it. She's not going to play the games. But if I go, hey, I can play this thing and I can play my games, but then we can also put Netflix and Hulu and stuff on it. She's more likely to get the buy-in, and so as a family unit, that might help sell more products.
Dirk and I were both in the same boat when we worked at GameStop together. That was a huge selling point.
Yeah.
Especially when family members.
By the way, it plays Netflix. Are you serious?
Yeah. By the way,
that
it
was
plays
the only
Blu-rays.
way to play.
Yeah, Blu-rays and
If when people would come in and they were asking about getting an Xbox 360 versus a PlayStation 3. All I had to do was say Blu-ray, and for the most part, they were on board with buying
Which
it.
one of these should I buy? Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Well, because
if you weren't sure, then that was definitely
Yeah.
because if you didn't go in knowing what you wanted, then
But I mean, on the flip
that's
side, plenty of
definitely
people
a
walked in, they wanted the Xbox Live experience because it was a better
Well, yes,
experience.
exactly. You did your research, knew what you wanted, but if you didn't know, Blu-ray is definitely a better selling point.
Well, I think my second point about why it's a good move for them is if you look at like Google's business model, they make their money through advertising because targeted advertising is extremely lucrative. So if you have a console that you can keep people in that console, then you can kind of data mine a little bit. Be like, okay, this guy plays Destiny a ton, and this guy plays Halo a ton. So we're gonna take that information, and our advertisers are gonna say,
"Calm down, NSA."
I'm not saying that like we're gonna take your picture and put it on the wall, and there's gonna be like
people were concerned with the
This is Seth. This is what Seth plays.
But here's the thing is, I may be in the minority here, but I actually kind of enjoy targeted ads. If you're gonna get ads, I'd rather see an ad that I care about than an ad for something I don't care about.
Related to what you're interested in.
Right, and so I think from a business standpoint, it makes sense for them because if they can keep you in the console longer, then they can give you more targeted information. They can make a little bit more money off of it, and they can get a more profitable product, which in the long run, of course, means they have more money to make better consoles that have, let's say, 180 more P than another console.
Out of context.
Okay, I'll build off of that. I think the media extensions are a great branch for the console.
Yeah.
But I think when you're announcing your console to the public, for God's sake, don't make that the focus.
I know, yeah.
It is a game console at the end of the day.
Could have been an
but,
Apple TV promo
Yeah.
for how much they talk
Yeah.
about home media.
That was a bad,
honestly.
that was a bad example.
I
So
agree
by
with
all
you there.
means, the more things my console can do, the more likely I am to use all those things, the happier I am.
Yeah.
But it's a console.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. What do you guys think about Netflix? It's starting to go down as far as consoles are considered,
Yeah.
but it's on the rise for all of these other media devices. And what devices do you own? And
What are you looking forward to getting?
yeah. So thanks for watching.
I use Vita for Netflix.
Do you?
No.
Okay.